We operate on the assumption that human beings are logical creatures. If you provide the right data, the best features, and the clearest benefits, people will calculate the options and select the most rational choice. Guided by this belief, most organizations communicate from the outside in. They lead with a description of what they do, followed by a list of how they do it better than the competition. When logic alone fails to move the needle, leaders turn to a standard playbook of manipulations. They drop prices, launch limited-time promotions, stoke fear about the competition, or use peer pressure. For decades, General Motors used this playbook to maintain its market dominance. By flooding the market with cashback incentives, they successfully moved inventory, but they also created a population of deal junkies. These customers were trained to never pay full price, which crippled GM's profit margins and stripped the brand of any real loyalty. These manipulations are effective at driving single purchases, but offer no foundation for lasting relationships. They turn products into commodities, leaving the organization trapped in a cycle of short-term fixes that never lead to inspiration. If our choices were purely analytical, we would struggle to explain the behavior of the world's most fiercely loyal groups. We find ourselves drawn to certain brands and leaders for reasons that defy comparative data. Apple fans routinely pay a massive premium and wait in lines for hours to buy a computer, even though the internal hardware is often comparable to much cheaper machines from Dell or HP. Harley-Davidson riders often wait months for a delivery and feel such a deep bond with the company that they permanently tattoo the corporate logo onto their skin. The Wright brothers achieved powered flight from a humble bicycle shop, working with no government funding and no college degrees. They outpaced Samuel Pierpont Langley, a man with a $50,000 grant and a team of the best-educated minds of his day. These successes were not the result of better features or lower prices. These leaders operated on a different axis of human nature that logic cannot fully account for. The golden circle reveals how the layers of an organization's communication mirror the evolution of the human brain. The two outer layers of the circle, the what and the how, map directly to the newest part of our brain, the neocortex. This area handles analytical thought and language. It is incredibly efficient at sifting through facts, figures, and comparative benefits. However, the neocortex suffers from a biological limitation. It can understand vast amounts of complex information, but it is not the part of the brain that drives human behavior. You can win a rational argument by pitching features to the neocortex, but you cannot use logic to inspire action or create loyalty. The center of the circle represents the why, which corresponds to the limbic system. This is the seat of all human behavior and decision-making. It is also the source of our deepest feelings, such as trust and loyalty. Crucially, the limbic brain has no capacity for language. This is why we struggle to put our deepest feelings into words. When we try to explain why we love someone, we end up talking around the subject with rationalizations, because the part of the brain making the decision cannot speak. We simply call it a gut feeling. Inspiring leaders succeed by communicating from the inside out. They speak directly to the limbic brain with their why, bypassing the rational filters that prevent people from taking action. When a leader shares a clear belief, they trigger a biological drive to belong. We seek out these organizations because we want to be around those who share our values. Once that connection is made, a leader's products or causes become tangible symbols. They give the followers a way to prove to the outside world who they are and what they believe. Authenticity happens when the golden circle remains in balance. It requires the clarity of why, the discipline of how, and the consistency of what, ensuring that every action and product serves as tangible proof of an inner belief. If the outer actions do not match the inner belief, the bond breaks. When Motorola focused on the surface-level novelty of the razor rather than a deeper purpose, the limbic brain detected the inconsistency. The market eventually moved on because there was no longer a cause to support, only a product to buy. In a world filled with the noise of features and manipulations, the only way to build a following that will stick with you through thick and thin is to have the courage to start with why.